Hey everyone, good afternoon. Darrell here from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center. And across the high desert today, we've had plenty of sunshine, some afternoon clouds, and temperatures have actually cranked up just a little bit. We're running slightly warmer than 24 hours ago, still a little below average for this time of the year. But in the last couple of hours, our attention has been turned to fire weather concerns. Now, currently across the high desert, when we look out at each one of these cameras, we do see that there is a whole lot of sunshine. But look a little closer at the Pine Mountain camera. In fact, we are going to go ahead and zoom in and look at Pine Mountain 2, which is already focused on this smoke plume. Now, it is a smoke plume of a small fire that at last check, Wildcat only had it at 1.4 acres. Now, this is burning near Pine Mountain, so right up there in that complex of higher elevations. And here through the next couple of days, fire weather conditions are going to be a bigger concern as well going forward. Now, there's one more fire I want to show you, and this one is by the Hampton Butte camera, and obviously that's a little further out in Deschutes County, so it might take a little longer for crews to get out there and really assess the situation. But when you look pretty closely, you can see off in the distance that smoke plume. This one actually looks a little bit more dense than the one near Pine Mountain, but we're still waiting on some reports for that. So here in the last couple of hours, our attention has really been turned to those fire weather conditions, and there is a red flag warning, just not for the area that has the fires. It's for the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs in the reservation, where until 8 p.m. this evening, there is a red flag warning due to winds that are going to become breezy and low humidity values. Any fires that start are likely to spread rapidly. So let's talk about some of the conditions we typically associate with fire weather conditions. Now, when it comes to relative humidity, the amount of moisture in the air, this is done by percentages. We're in the teens and 20s. Pine Mountain is at 31, but where that fire is a little further to the west of where that sensor is, it could be a little bit lower. Not quite sure about that. Meanwhile, through the rest of Tri-County area, it is pretty dry. On top of that, winds have been a little breezy at times. Actual gusts are between 10 and 20 miles per hour until you hit those green areas in the higher elevations of the east slopes, the Cascades, and Black Butte. Those higher elevations, gusts of 20 plus miles per hour. Actual wind speeds are mostly running between 5 and 15 miles per hour. Now, since both fires are between Pine Mountain and just west of Hampton Butte, we're going to look at wind conditions observed and forecast for Pine Mountain. Now, in the last couple of hours, we've still been a light breeze. Those gusts have been a little bit stronger, but in the next couple of hours, remember with this graphic, everything to the left of the white line is observed, everything to the right is forecast. So between now and sunset, winds are going to get breezy, even gusty. Overnight, though, that tapers off. Increasing clouds are expected. We have a light breeze, and by Wednesday, we're looking at winds that are going to be breezy at times through most of the day, really. But by noon and afternoon and evening, that's when we're going to see some of those gusts a little stronger, and that's mostly because of a weak front that's rolling through the Pacific Northwest tomorrow. So when we look at our air quality, this is both the hourly average from the DEQ and from eSpace. It's showing good air quality. Winds are coming out of the west and northwest, and not just the hourly average, but the real-time sensors from eSpace Labs, also good air quality. Now, satellite and radar does show where some of those clouds have been rolling through on satellite. Radar doesn't show much of anything, not just for Central Oregon, but also for the eastern third of the state, as well as South Central Oregon. In fact, when we look at the bigger picture across the entire state, we've just had in and out clouds, and it is dry until you get up closer to Astoria. That's where a warm front is rolling into the region. Now, this is all part of a bigger system that has some showers and even thunderstorms expected with it. That cold front is stretched south just offshore along the coastline of the Pacific Northwest. Now, south of that, there's a broad ridge of high pressure out over the Pacific Ocean. That high is going to play a role during the next couple of days, mostly that it's building into the Pacific Northwest in the wake of tomorrow's cold front. But tomorrow's cold front is already starting to fizzle out. By the time it gets here, the mountains absorb most of that moisture. Some sprinkles are expected starting with overnight. Going through the day on Wednesday, a handful of spots could get some sprinkles. In and out clouds, winds getting breezy for many of us, and then by Thursday, we start off with some clouds and get our clearing. This clearing is as a ridge of high pressure builds into the region, and as that continues, a warming trend sets up that turns into a heating trend with 90s later this weekend. So high temperatures in the last 24 hours, 80s and 70s with 91 in Warm Springs. Some of those are holdovers from just shy of 24 hours ago. Actual temperatures are 80s with a few 70s and 90 in Warm Springs as well. And so where we have a few spots that are running several degrees warmer, actually most of the high desert is running several degrees warmer than 24 hours ago. A few spots, not so much, but anyways, this moderate warm-up, this mild warm-up is definitely bringing us a little closer to average, just not quite there. Now tonight, we fall back into the 50s. Notice this dip in temperatures. It's going to be gradual. So a pleasant evening is expected with areas of potentially reduced air quality. By tomorrow, back into the 70s. Now, our next system is rolling through tomorrow, so not only are we looking at 70s, we have the potential for some showers, and I'm going to go ahead and get the updated version of that graphic, pardon me. There we go. Okay, so through the day tomorrow, some scattered some scattered showers through the day are possible. At best, most of that's going to be sprinkles. We even have periods of clearing. Now, because of the additional cloud cover, we're not looking at a huge jump in UV intensity. In fact, that intensity forecast, bringing it down to high and then returning to very high by Friday and Saturday as more sunshine is expected. We are going to have a slightly reduced UV intensity forecast through the entirety of this event. So until clouds really thin out Thursday, we stay high and not very high. Now, roller coaster temperatures are expected today lower to mid 80s, a few 70s, couple 90s. By tomorrow, that cold front starts bearing down on the coastline, bringing us some showers. Now, remember, the mountains absorb most of the showers. Some sprinkles make it into the high desert. We're looking at 70s and some 80s. We stay well below average for this time of the year. By the time we get to Thursday, we're still 70s and a few 80s, but Thursday is our transition day. We get our clearing. By Friday, the warming trend begins as high pressure really starts to come over the Pacific Northwest. And once we start warming, we just continue. Now, Saturday, more clouds are expected, so make sure sunshine and cloud cover, but still dry. And by Sunday, we're not only above average, but well into the 90s. So here is your forecast model. This is the one we typically use on air, and it's a blend of high resolution, like I showed you before, and one that goes a little further out, not as high of resolution. Here's what we're looking at. The warm front rolls in tonight. Temperatures are going to be bottoming out in the 50s with some 40s. By Wednesday, the mountains absorb most of the moisture. Some sprinkles make it to our side of the Cascades. Thursday, during the day, starting off at 6 a.m., we still have some clouds, called it partly cloudy. Then clearing is expected. Once we clear out, some light clouds each day are expected, but the real warming trend begins on Friday and continues through Saturday with no rain in sight. So looking at a long-range forecast model, so it's longer range, less high resolution, this is starting us off Friday night when we're mostly clear. It shows it through Saturday, through Sunday, and through Monday. We are looking at tons of sunshine. Some light clouds rolling into the high desert. Some of those clouds on Saturday, just in and out clouds through the day. It slows down our heating trend, but doesn't kill it completely. By Tuesday, still have tons of sunshine. So between now and 7 a.m. Wednesday, we're mostly dry. Remember, during the early morning hours, 3 to 5 a.m., that's when showers start to roll in. That's why you're seeing some of those specks of green. And some light showers are expected through the day. Sprinkles. Some sprinkles even Wednesday night going into Thursday. And by Friday, much the same is what we've been seeing. So the best chance of rain in the next 7 days is Wednesday and Wednesday night going into Thursday. And at best, we're looking at some sprinkles. Now, 50s and some 40s are expected tonight, increasing clouds. By tomorrow, periods of clearing, some sprinkles expected, 70s and some 80s for highs. We keep that cooler air mass over the high desert Thursday. Temperatures start to rebound Friday with a light breeze. And again, some in and out clouds, most of that happening on Saturday, a little bit on Sunday as we clear out. But the heating trend really ramps up Sunday, Monday. By Tuesday, we're still peaking with our heat dome. So the heating trend is peaking and a few triple digits aren't out of the question. So just to recap for you, our weather headlines for this Tuesday, August the 5th, a couple of cooler days, a few cooler days ahead. That's Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday's our best chance of rain. Thursday, we get the clearing. Now, some sprinkles are expected on Wednesday. By this weekend, though, we'll have already cleared out. Just some in and out clouds past that. and a ridge of high pressure really starts to strengthen on Friday. By Saturday and Sunday, that ridging continues. We keep heating up, and we're back through the 80s and into the 90s. So here's one more quick look at your 7-day planner, most reliable forecast. That is the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and another look at your most reliable forecast. As more information about these fires comes in, I'll have those updates tonight through the evening lineup. So we'll see you then.